What is going on, everybody? It's the Franz. I'm waiting for a SmackDown live review for your Friday, August the 28th, 2020. And excuse me, but we have some rain going on here in Ohio. Anybody who's going through any of these hurricane things, I hope everyone is safe. Everyone is able to come out of this A-okay. I know 14 people have died already. I hope majority of the people can get out of the way of these bad storms that are happening with Hurricane Laura and everything. But tonight's show had something we have been asking for confirmed for a long time. Everyone at Payback at SummerSlam saw Roman Reigns make his return. And nobody knew what that was going to be. Was he going to be the same old Roman Reigns? Were we going to have anything that was going to be different? They said they apparently wanted to give him an edge. Well, tonight, of course, they talked about how we were going to do a contract signing for the Payback main event, which is going to be Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman versus The Fiend. And I didn't think we would see this, but at the end of the show, of course, The Fiend got his signature first. Braun Strowman got signed later. And then Roman at the end, dropping the biggest bombshell of the night, has hired Paul Heyman. That's right. We have been asking for it for 5 years. But it looks like Roman Reigns is finally 100% a heel. Biggest thing that WWE could have done. WWE likes to break the internet every so often. The Rock coming back. Hogan coming back in 2014 when he did. Anything that they can do to break the internet. Well, lo and behold, you broke the internet. I am recording this right now. I'm not looking at Twitter or anything. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a talk of the night. WWE likes to get that attention, likes to get that people talking, and you got people talking for the first time in a long time. So, holy shit. Also, with Roman Reigns coming back, we all wondered what's going to happen with Alexa Bliss. Are they going to drop everything that they've been doing with her and just go back to having Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross be just what they were before the whole Fiend thing started with her? Now, we saw a continuation of what was happening, and we got our answer. And it looked like from the start that, they dropped it. Of course they did, because WWE went in a different direction. But, oh boy, just watching it, how anybody thought that they dropped this was wrong. We'll go over that. Jeff Hardy put the Intercontinental title on the line against Shinsuke Nakamura in an open challenge. Big E singles run is honestly a fucking failure from the beginning. And not much more on what was, honestly, in my opinion, outside of the Alexa Bliss thing, which I'm actually interested to see where this goes. And Paul Heyman being the advocate or whatever he's going to be for Roman Reigns, this show just was nothing. But we start off with WWE producer Adam Payne backstage with several security guards. He tells them to be extra alert tonight. If you see something, say something. He points to the office door behind him, showing Vince McMahon's office is in the house. He's in the house. Pierce sends security on their way. Pierce walks into Vince's office. Pierce tries to fist bump Vince, but he's not interested. Vince says he seems a bit nervous, which is normal for people who come around him. I mean, yeah, I would be too if I walked up to Vince McMahon and wanted to say anything to him. I don't care what anyone says. I guarantee you, anybody who would sit there on Twitter and say, or Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, that said if they met Vince McMahon, they would yell at him or hit him or something or say what's on their mind. I guarantee you, the second you step in front of Vince McMahon, you're going to just, anything that you wanted to do is just going to go right out the window. And you're going to be like, nerves are going to be there. Don't tell me you wouldn't, because that's a fucking lie. Anyway, he hypes the no-holds-barred triple threat match at Payback and hands Pierce the contract for the match. He tells Pierce he needs those signatures on the paper before the night is over. He wants Pierce to start with the Fiend. If he can't find him, try Bray Wyatt, possibly in the Firefly Funhouse. I just love the fact that they've taken the Firefly Funhouse, and I mean this sarcastically, they've taken the Firefly Funhouse from being figurative, like it's supposed. The Firefly Funhouse originally, in my interpretation, was it's in Bray Wyatt's subconscious. There's no way in, except for the reason we only see Bray Wyatt is because he's only going to be showing up in the Firefly Funhouse because it's in the mind of the Fiend. That's it. Then Seth Rollins got there, beat him up, lit the thing on fire. Then we had Bray Wyatt come out and have an actual match with The Miz. And then last week you had Braun Strowman make him show up and beat up Bray Wyatt, pulling him out and then choke slamming him, yada, yada, yada. They've taken the Firefly Funhouse from being something unique, mysterious, having a mystique to it, and just making it a backstage area. Fucking stupid. Vince pulls one of the suits over his cover of the door, handing it to Pierce for his job done. Pierce asks if he's serious. Vince tells Pierce to say hello to Huskus the Pig for him, as Vince is apparently a big fan. Pierce leaves and heads out for his mission. We are live from the Thunderdome at the Amway Center, which, by the way, I didn't see that. I don't have those eagle eyes to see things on, like, I don't sit there and actually look at all these people. I didn't notice the Chris Benoit thing, or the KKK thing, or the Velveteen Dream sign last weekend to last Monday. But someone pointed out that either Kenny Omega himself got access to watch the Thunderdome, or there was a Kenny Omega lookalike who sat there in the Thunderdome tonight. I mean, the picture was shown up on Twitter that people were commenting on and quote tweeting, "Is this real?" Looked like Kenny Omega to a T. So if Kenny Omega actually was in the Thunderdome, that is hilarious. Now, it is getting pretty bad out there. Hardy says it's good to be standing in the Thunderdome after what AJ Styles did to his knee last week. He's lucky to be standing anyway. Anyway, he goes on and says he's ready to defend the title, and out comes Styles to the stage, dressed in street clothes. AJ asks if this is real. AJ says Hardy is a liar and a cheat. He walks in the ring and says he's had knee injuries before and never went to a doctor to get an illegal object on his knee, but Jeff did. AJ is referring, of course, to the knee brace that he had, that if you look back, he really didn't hit him. Like, if he hit him with the knee brace, he hit him with the back end where the metal is not at. So trying to play this off that he used the metal, wow, terrible booking by WWE. Jeff knows how to play the system, he says. AJ says the same doctor Jeff whined and complained to now won't clear AJ to compete tonight, and it's all Jeff's fault. Jeff says that sucks for AJ because he's about to issue an open challenge to anyone in the back except for AJ. AJ yells at Hardy for taking advantage of the system. The referee tries to calm him, but AJ yells back at him and they won't shut up. Hardy ends up dropping AJ with the right hand. We go to commercial break and Hardy stands over AJ. So, back from break, and Shinsuke Nakamura is in the ring with the Intercontinental Champion Jeff Hardy to answer the open challenge. AJ is on commentary. So, this match, you can definitely tell that Shinsuke Nakamura, for the most part of his career in WWE on the main roster, has been phoning it in. He doesn't feel like he's giving his best efforts. I mean, after everything they did in his first 6 months on the brand, and I would say his first year and 3 months or 4 months, went from being this talk of the town major superstar to calling him the artist, having him get ruined by Jinder Mahal twice in bullshit matches, to turning heel after losing his first WWE Championship opportunity after winning the Royal Rumble, to lose for like 4 months straight, only getting a singles win on SmackDown to determining stipulation at the next pay-per-view. And then it's just, I can see why he would be pissed. So, Hardy clutches his knee after a move from the top rope. Nakamura charges, but runs his boots into boots, blocking it. Nakamura slides under the bottom rope and hits a sliding German suplex. Nakamura goes to the top and hits a flying knee for a 2 count. He waits in the corner, goes to the Kinshasa, but Hardy sidesteps. Nakamura blocks a twist of fate. Hardy blocks a sleeper, then tangles some more, and he hits him with the right knee, the one that's got the brace. This time the brace is covered, but AJ Styles mentions that he used the right knee. Hits the twist of fate. Goes up, hits the Swanton, 1, 2, 3, and Jeff Hardy retains the Intercontinental Championship. After the match, Hardy's music hits. Hardy goes to ringside and taunts AJ at the announce table. Hardy returns to the ring and poses in the corner, raising the title in the air as we go to replays. He limps up the ramp as AJ yells at him from the ring, now threatening to take the title back. Hardy turns to raise the title in the air, and out comes the former, not beaten, not ever giving a chance to defend the title after he left for a few months, the stripped champion, Sami Zayn, has his hands behind his back, pulls him out, and has another Intercontinental Championship. This one doesn't have his side plates on him. They have the WWE side plates. He calls him a fraud, and they both raise the titles. He says he's the actual champion. AJ is down at the bottom of the ramp now. Hardy looks at him, and then, of course, we get a cheap shot by Sami Zayn. Levels him, but Sami yells at Hardy, calling him a fraud as the fake crowd noise boos. AJ comes walking up the stage as Hardy limps to his feet. Sami has left to the back. AJ tells Hardy he will own him soon. That title is mine, not yours. Hardy taunts AJ and raises the title again as his music hits. So, Sami's back. And honestly, WWE looks like they're going to go down the route that they should have done with MVP and Apollo Crews. Apollo was the rightful champion. MVP saying he's the actual champion. And then they could have led to a champion versus champion all for the gold match with both titles on the line, which I know they kind of did, but they didn't build it that way. I don't know where they're going to go with this. We know Sami Zayn was stripped of the break, and a happy Sami Zayn is just dancing around, singing through the backstage area when Kayla Braxton tries to get a hold of him and stop him. Eventually she does. She asks him where he's been. Sami says he's all about righting the wrongs, and what's wrong is Jeff Hardy walking around claiming to be Intercontinental Champion, as AJ did before him. He brags about winning the title in March and retaining it over Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, which of course March 8th, 2020 was 1, my birthday, and 2 was the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, where of course Sami Zayn in a 3-on-1 handicap match beat Braun Strowman for the Intercontinental title. She asked him why he hasn't been here to defend the title in the last 5 months. Sami says he has many reasons, many valid reasons why, and he doesn't need to explain. He goes on about being from Montreal, being a man of the world, and being a true Intercontinental Champion in every sense of the world. He speaks some French, don't know what the hell he says, and he walks off. So Sami, of course, is back. It's great to see Sami back. I don't know where they're going with this. It seems like they are going to go down the route of Sami Zayn being the fraudulent Intercontinental Champion, but he says he's a true Intercontinental Champion, same way Shawn Michaels did back in 1994, or 1992, right? No, 94. 94, yeah, 94. And we're going to lead to probably a ladder match or something with the winner take all, and usually the babyface comes out on top. That's going to be right up Jeff Hardy's wheelhouse, even though, I don't know, some of the things Jeff does now that he's done for years just don't look as great as they used to because of his age and his body being broken down. We go to the Firefly Funhouse with Universal Champion Bray Wyatt. He feels like something is missing. He's all happy and everything, but he feels like something is missing. He knows what it is. We do a scene swipe, and he's holding the Universal Championship. But there's something different about this one. The last time he held the Universal Championship, didn't his side plates have the Fiend or something on them? This time they have Hurts and Heel on the sides, that if you're holding the thing forward, would match up with the glove, Hurt and Heel. He changes his tune and gets serious, telling Roman Reigns that it's good to see him back. And then the doorbell rings, and he's like, "Oh boy, guys, we have a visitor." It's Adam Pearce, aka Postman Pearce. Wyatt welcomes Postman Pearce, who has the payback contract in his hand. Pearce asks Wyatt to sign the contract for Sunday. He asks, why would I sign it? Pearce says something, sometimes it feels like a connection between Wyatt and him. We see flashes of the Fiend across the screen. Wyatt agrees to sign it, says he hopes Reigns and Braun Strowman know what they're getting into. He signed it and says he knows, if he knows him like he thinks he does, he just signed a couple of death warrants. And Pearce just doesn't want to hear any more of this, leaves. Wyatt laughs and says, remember, let me, he doesn't do this, he says let me in, but he doesn't say it like, with that look and then saying, let me in. He's just like, remember, fellas, let me in. And he's like, bye, see you later. And that is the last time we see a Bray Wyatt. No Fiend tonight, surprisingly. They announced to type the rest of the Pearce's mission tonight, which is, of course, Braun Strowman and then Roman Reigns. And then Matt Riddle versus Baron Corbin feud we go to look at what's going on with them. We go back to the ring and out comes Matt Riddle. He wants to get Baron Corbin in the ring because he's heard that Baron Corbin, if he gets somebody to take out Matt Riddle, they are entitled to a king's ransom. But all that says to Matt Riddle is that you are afraid of me. So get out here. Let's do this now. Let's get this done and over with. And then we cut the commercial break. Now, we cut the commercial break. Matt Riddle's music isn't playing. We come back from commercial break and they're playing Matt Riddle's music again. Can I ask why? Do we have Matt Riddle's music playing again? I mean, come the fuck on. This isn't WWE with a live audience like AEW where they might want to play their music or something to keep people from falling asleep. People are sitting at home watching on a TV screen. Which, by the way, I tried to get into the fucking Monday Night Raw one this past Monday, and what's the point of having a call time if you're going to have people when you're going to have the thing completely full? So stupid. Anyway, back from break and Riddle is still in the ring. He's calling him out. Out comes Baron Corbin. He talks trash and says he accepts on the behalf of Chad Gable after Chad Gable attacks him from behind. So Matt Riddle versus Chad Gable. Match doesn't last very long. Matt Riddle. Now, even though Chad Gable did get a couple moves in, he got a German suplex on him for a pin. Got a 2 count. It all leads to the Bro Derek. 1, 2, 3. Matt Riddle wins in about a minute and a half. The match didn't last very long. And it's a shame. I think Matt Riddle and Shorty G... Chad Gable could have an excellent match. Could have an excellent series of matches that go 15, 20 minutes and start to finish some of the best matches you will see. It's a damn shame they have these guys go out there and give you 2 minutes at the most. It's just sad. So after Matt Riddle's match and Corbin comes in, tries to attack, he gets sent out, and that was that. So just if they're gonna make this match for Payback, make this match for Payback. If you're not going to, leave us out of it. Cole shows us The Miz and Big E on last week's episode of Talking Smack, which so far it's okay, I guess. It still doesn't have that feel of previous Talking Smacks. Apparently, WWE came up with the host of who it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be Caleb Braxton and Xavier Woods, but WWE failed to mention to Xavier Woods that he was going to be a host of Talking Smack. So this is the second week in a row that Xavier Woods isn't there. I don't know what the talk of that is. Why not? Maybe they couldn't get him to come yet. I don't know. But I think it's kind of funny how WWE does Talking Smack, has picks out the host and fails to tell the host who, tell one of the hosts that, hey, you are going to be working on this. So yeah, way to go, WWE. So that leads to backstage. We see earlier in the night, Big E was on a cameo or something, talking about hating the fact that he has to be on Miz TV. He doesn't want to be on there. Miz and Morrison come up and they have words. Sheamus comes up too. And then Heavy Machinery make their presence known. And we're going to have a 6-man tag match later in the show. May I ask something? Big E. Why is Big E, this guy that you're supposed to be giving a singles push to, already doing tag team matches again? let's see. This is what? Week number 5? 4? 5 of Kofi's 6 weeks out of action? You're running out of time to give Big E any type of push or any type of chance to being the single star before you put him and Kofi back in the tag team division. All I know is, what the fuck? Like, you say we're going to give Big E a chance and that Big E deserves to have this chance. You have Kofi say, you guys, like, Big E, you deserve to have this chance. You've been holding it down with us for the last 6 years. I had my time. I'm going to be out. Woods is out. We give you our blessing. And they have him feud with Miz and Morrison and then Sheamus. And it leads to a 6-man tag team match. Why? What's the point? So when Kofi Kingston makes his return in about a week or two, and they're back to being a tag team again, and that's it, and Big E's no longer vying for singles, like a singles push, you just wasted a time. You could have did what you did with the Usos and just kept Big E off while Kofi is away. Plain and simple. Good grief, is he getting bad out there. And I live up in Ohio, so I don't know how bad it is down in other areas. I know it's pretty bad, but I don't really know. But sorry about it if you hear that. So we see, we are backstage with Big E and Heavy Machinery. The women's tag team champion Sasha Banks and women's champion Bayley come up, and Bayley says something to Big E in the words in the vein of, some people looking at Big E when she says this, some people don't. It's like don't worry about being if you're not good enough to be WWE champion. It's just some people, and she's pointing at him, if I'm correct, at the same time, can only handle being tag team champions. I'm sorry, but this is 2020. Was that joke really worth it? Was that joke really necessary right now? With all the mainstream media lies about this racial injustice that we're seeing right now, that was the joke you came up with. That's, if you look at I know that Bayley is half Hispanic, but still, you're gonna sit there and have Bayley cut a very racist-ish joke on television while all this all these people were crying for racial injustice. What the fuck? I know Vince McMahon is a fucking racist. Anybody can see that from a mile away, but good fucking grief, you don't have to go out and have Bayley say that. It was a tasteless, very tasteless and stupid joke, and it was just, I just can't believe WWE went out of their way to have Bayley cut that insensitive joke. Wow. Back from break, and Anna Pierce is knocking on Roman's door, but no one answers. We see Caleb Braxton stopping Baron Corbin, asking if he will now accept Matt Riddle's challenge. Corbin rants on about how he's going to destroy Riddle at Payback on Sunday and proves that he doesn't belong in this kingdom. A furious Corbin walks off. We go back to the ring, and out comes the women's tag team champions Sasha Banks and Bayley. Greg Hamilton does their introduction. Bayley takes the mic about how it's been a hard week for them. They both had to defend their titles at SummerSlam last Sunday, and now they have to defend their titles against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax at Payback. She gets hyped up and says, but we are lucky for them, we are the best tag team. And she goes on bragging and poses with the title. And as she's doing this, and she's saying this, and she's like, and by the way, and luckily for us, we're the greatest tag team. And you just see how she's hyped up, but Sasha Banks doesn't have that enthusiasm. The ego, the confidence that Banks had just 1 week ago is gone. She wanted to be 2 belts Banks. She wanted to hold all the gold that she had, and losing that championship has, in the way that she did, Bayley not helping her, even though Sasha Banks helped Bayley earlier in that show, just shows to Banks, that things are not how she thought they were going to be, and she is probably going to take Bayley. This is all going to come to a head this coming Sunday. Bayley knows Banks is devastated by losing the Raw Women's title. She tries to talk her up and then takes blame for the loss, saying it's all her fault. She should have never let Asuka challenge Banks. But she saw Banks watching her with both of her titles and knew she wanted the same things. Banks isn't impressed. Bayley says, but all of that is the past now. She does bring up the fact that I know your history of not being able to defend the Raw Women's Championship, which seems to offend Banks even more. Bayley says she should never be... Bayley says, but all that is in the past now, and they will move forward with a win on Sunday. We're going to be stronger than ever. The titles represent more than us. They might represent our friendship. And Sunday, we cannot lose. And Banks is like, I agree, we cannot lose. Banks doesn't want Bayley to worry and says as long as Bayley has her back, they're going to get through anything on Sunday. And she may not be 2 belt and spank anymore, but she knows who she is and what she stands for, and they are still best friends. And lucky for Bayley, you're still my best friend. Which tells you that this is coming very, very soon. Baszler and Jax interrupt the big screen. They go on about how they, Banks, Nia Jax says she doesn't like Shayna Baszler, but she hates Bayley and Sasha Banks even more. Baszler says she doesn't like Nia Jax at all. She actually sucks. Which, no truer words have come out of somebody's mouth. But, if I can beat you two up and take those women's tag team titles, I'll team up with anybody. But, they hate Banks and Bayley. They will team up about it. The two sides continue talking, and Banks cuts a defiant promo about how she will leave Payback with her title, and she will get her revenge, and she looks dead at Bayley when she says, at Payback, I will get my revenge, and I'm going to be leaving with my title, and there ain't a damn thing you can do about it. So, it's coming to a head. We're down the stretch, even though we know this should have happened a long time ago. The match should have been at SummerSlam, but WWE balked at it and wanted to extend it because they weren't going to be in the TD Garden for SummerSlam like they planned for 4 or 5 months ago. Anders Pearce is backstage looking for Braun Strowman, as so is Drew Gulak, because he wants payback for what happened last week. He grabs a chair, Gulak does, and smacks it on the back of Braun Strowman, and Strowman doesn't budge. Gulak then takes the chair, tosses it into Adam Pearce's hands, and runs off. Strowman turns around. Pearce is like, it wasn't me. It was Gulak. I'm just here to get this paper signed. And he says, I'm looking for Roman. And the only way he's going to be... He says the words, and then he says, the only way he's signing that contract is that Pearce gets Gulak in the ring with him right now. Pearce says that sounds like a plan. Strowman walks off, and we go to commercial break. Back from break, we see SmackDown Tag Team Champion Cesaro and Nakamura talking. Cesaro has a match with Kalisto tonight. He's trying to tell him, it's like, dude, Nakamura, what are you doing, man? We're a team. I need you to let me know what you're doing so I can be out there to support you because we are a team. I'm going to need you to have my back later in the night when I got to Kalisto. And then Sami Zayn walks into the screen, all happy about these two, being reunited, feels so good, all that stuff. And Nakamura says Sami was gone for months. Didn't even give them a phone call. Sami admits he should have been more communicative, but he's sorry. Cesaro says some things around here actually changed for the better while Sami was gone. He says that was his plan for them to come together, and their proof is in the title win. He places the Intercontinental title next to the titles and says he's going to hang out in the championship lounge. But Cesaro says they were having a conversation as a tag team when Sami walks in, and they should like to finish that conversation. Sami asks if they want him to go, and Cesaro asks please. Sami says that's okay because he actually has to go. He's got so much stuff to do. They were pretty much telling him, dude, you were gone for 4 months. We haven't seen you. We haven't heard from you. We did this on our own. You weren't around, so get the fuck out of our Champions Lounge. Drew Gulak versus Braun Strowman. May I ask, did Braun Strowman fight in Vince McMahon's way? Did he cough in Vince McMahon's way? What the hell did he do that deserved getting squashed by Braun Strowman this week and getting beat up by Braun Strowman last week? Obviously, he might be in the doghouse for something. Gulak got no offense. Strowman wearing a t-shirt now that fits him, surprisingly. Not one of those cut-off ones with the sleeves. He actually had sleeves on his t-shirt, and it was tucked in. What the fuck is happening to Braun Strowman? But he beats him down, scoops him up, hits the running power slam, gets the win. Whoop-de-doo. After the match, music hits, Strowman makes his exit and marches up the ramp. Adam Pearce stops him on the stage, and he signs the contract and shoves it back in Pearce's chest, and he heads off. We see Lucha House Party backstage, and Kalisto says he's learned from Lucha Dorado's mistakes with Cesaro last week, and doesn't ask. He tells him to stay backstage to see how it's done. Lince is like, you know what, fine, go show me how it's done. Go show me how it's done. They have some words in Spanish. Grand Metalik's still trying to play peacemaker, and that was that. So we go to that match, Kalisto versus Cesaro. This match was good for what it was. But the story, of course, is that they are slowly but surely breaking up the Lucha House Party. Maybe they're just going to break off Kalisto to go on his own, and then the other two can be the tag team, and Kalisto can do his own thing. I hope that's what they're doing. Because, honestly, Kalisto looks like somebody that if they pushed him now the way he come back looking, and how much of a star he actually could look like, maybe they could have something in him being an Intercontinental Championship contender, and the Lucha House Party is holding him back. And honestly, with the way WWE pushes Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik, I know people talk about how great Grand Metalik is and everything he did before he came to WWE, but they haven't done anything with him pretty much. This is the most screen time that they've gotten in a long time. But they're breaking him off, and we'll have to just see how this goes. So, Cesaro is getting, Kalisto is beating up on Cesaro. He's getting him down. He's got him, looks like he could possibly win this thing. Cesaro blocks this SDS, but Kalisto comes back and sends him into the second turnbuckle. Nakamura gets on the apron, but Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik run down. Kalisto's looking out, he's like, what the fuck are you doing out here? I told you to stay in the back. Cesaro rolls him up. 1, 2, 3. And he wins. Cesaro wins, and Kalisto was screwed by his own teammates. After the match, the music hits. Cesaro runs and leaves. Lucha House Party argue in the ring before leaving, but of course, it looks like cooler heads maybe prevailed because Kalisto comes up, gives both of them a hug. It looks like supposedly cooler heads have prevailed, but I feel like this is just the beginning of the end of the Lucha House Party. Vince McMahon is backstage in his office when Adam Pearce walks in with Payback main event contract. He said he has signatures from The Fiend and Braun Strowman, but keeps knocking on Roman's door, but he had no luck. Vince says, so what's the old saying? 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but not here. This is you get all 3, or don't come back at all, pretty much. If you want to get in the Roman's door, 2 people on each side, and you knock that door down and make sure it caves in. Back from break, and we see Big B, Matt Riddle, and Sami Zayn are announced for Talking Smack on Saturday. Kayla Braxton will host, while Miz is a guest co-host until they can figure out what they're doing with Xavier Woods or whoever else. We go backstage at Tamina Snuka, and this was interesting. This next segment was interesting. I will say that this whole thing that's been going on with Alexa Bliss since she was attacked by The Fiend, going out there and talking to Braun Strowman, I was a little disappointed that they didn't follow up with it at SummerSlam. It felt like that's where they were going. But then we got to this. We see Nikki Cross in the back. She's holding a mug. And apparently Tamina Snuka walks up. I guess apparently Tamina Snuka is a babyface now. Out of the blue, Tamina Snuka, who's been a heel over the last few years, is all of a sudden a nice babyface, coming in and wondering how Alexa Bliss is to Nikki Cross, and Nikki says she's fine. Cross points out how she hasn't seen Bliss wear her hair in it. Bliss shows up and hugs them both. She has ponytails on both sides, going up like she used to do when she would dress as Harley Quinn. And she asked her, is that my mug I gave you? And Nikki Cross is like, yeah, it's the first one you gave you, how she held it for a long time. Cross then knows that she hasn't seen Bliss wear her hair in pigtails in a while. Then she sees how it is twirled up and says, what is this? And some of her hair is twisted differently. And how it's not a good idea. Bliss says she was thinking of doing half and half. Cross says it it would look good anyway, but she doesn't think this is a good idea because it reminds her of The Fiend. She says very like cautiously. She is like with caution, like not wanting to upset Alexa Bliss. And then it went from happy Alexa Bliss to crazy neck job Alexa Bliss. She just had this look of saying the Fiend's name just transforms Alexa Bliss into someone totally different. And then she's like, oh, don't be silly. I thought you'd be more supportive because you're my best friend, and that's what best friends do. And they support each other, and I guess since you do that and don't do that, we're not best friends anymore. And then she grabs the mug and says, so much for friendship, Nikki. Throws it down, breaks the mug, and looks at Nikki Cross with this death stare that if looks could kill, Nikki would be dead. And she walks off. Holy shit, I don't know what they're doing, and I honestly thought that when she came into the screen, it's like, oh, okay, they dropped the whole thing. It's going to be Alexa Bliss, Nikki, I don't know what Tamina's doing here. But no, they're doing something, and I'm actually interested to see what they do with Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, with Alexa Bliss seeming to get, like, people are mentioning how she might be turning into the Sister Abigail that everyone's been predicting since the swamp fight. And we're just now seeing the slow descent of Alexa Bliss. I honestly can't wait to see what they do. It should be a lot of fun. But that was interesting. I just hope they don't fuck it up. But this is very interesting for Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, and see where they go. John Morrison's backstage bragging to Miz about how hard he can kick. Sheamus walks up and they talk strategy for tonight's six-man. The plan is to not let the others in the ring, but Sheamus doesn't like it and tells them to just follow his lead. He walks off, and Miz and Morrison ask Morrison what kind of plan was he thinking of. Then we have our main event, Heavy Machinery and Big E versus The Miz and John Morrison. Now, if I could tell you I gave a fuck about this match, I don't. Heavy Machinery is a tag team that should be vying for the tag team titles. But one of them is the Money in the Bank winner. Miz and Morrison shouldn't be a tag team because John Morrison is way better than The Miz, and Miz is out of his league when it comes to being a professional wrestler. Big E, they have this guy who they tout as they're going to give him this singles run, give him a chance to be his own man as still being a member of the New Day. We are what? 4 or 5 weeks into this thing when the Kofi says it's going to be about 6 weeks? And this is the best you got for him? Give me a fucking break. He goes, singles match, singles match, singles match, and then the next thing you know, he's back to a tag team match. Holy shit, how terrible is that? So, nothing special about the match until you do notice towards the end of the match, Sheamus continues to say, hey, tag me in. Miz and Morrison are tagging each other in exclusively. Sheamus finally looks like to be a tag into the match, but the referee's back was turned. He says, I didn't see it, get back out of the ring. Sheamus is yelling at him. He gets on the apron again. Morrison gets knocked into him. He's pissed off, and he walks off. So that leaves Miz and Morrison by themselves. Big E ends up hitting the big ending onto the Miz after Miz hits the Skull Crusher finale on the Otis. Quite impressive with the size of Otis and his mass, able to get his arms locked up for the Skull Crusher finale. After the match, Big E and Heavy Machinery celebrate. We go to commercial. We go to replays. The celebration continues, and the winners dance to the ring. Adam Pearce is backstage with Roman, who's sitting down. He has the Payback main event contract and says he's not signing as he wants some things changed. He guarantees to be in the match on Sunday and to break everyone, then leave. He also guarantees to win back his Universal Championship, which he says is never lost in the first place, which is true. Says that's not just a prediction, that's a spoiler. The camera pans to Paul Heyman sitting next to the Roman Reigns. As Roman looks up at Pearce, Heyman leans over and says, believe that. And Roman Reigns is now paired with Paul Heyman. He looks down at the Payback contract as the Go Home show goes off the air. So again, like I said, they broke the internet. Of course, Vince McMahon would want to break the internet. That's how Vince McMahon rolls. If anything could get people talking about something. Now, the question is, how far did they go with this? It's something that, and this just shows you something. Vince McMahon, you would have to pretty much end Vince McMahon before turning John Cena heel. Even though John Cena needed a heel turn years ago. And here we go, Roman Reigns is supposed to be the successor to John Cena. And they push him to be like a John Cena. And it never worked. The only time, and if you actually go to, there is a early promo in NXT, early NXT, before the Shield, where Roman Reigns is supposed to be getting interviewed by somebody, and he's in a suit, a tie, has a fucking a expensive cell phone. He's on it, and it's just type in the YouTube. I believe it is Roman Reigns heel promo from NXT heel promo, and listen to Roman Reigns as an actual heel before they tried to make him into the Superman of the new Superman of WWE. The heel promo, the babyface just never works for Roman. Even when he came back from cancer, from getting cancer remission in his leukemia, people still wanted to boo him because it was the same shit, different year. This is a chance for them to do something different. They have him paired up with Paul Heyman. This also tells me that whatever plans they had with Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar aren't going to happen anytime soon. So that's why they paired him up with I guarantee you, Roman had to have some say in this. Paul Heyman probably wants to work with Roman because he has been working with Roman when Roman and Brock Lesnar would have matches. He enjoys probably working with Roman. And he's probably gotten bored sitting at home doing absolutely nothing. So why not give him this? Let's see what happens. I cannot wait to see what they do. But that is your SmackDown review. Let's talk a little bit about Payback. What do we know about Payback? Keith Lee versus Randy Orton. Randy Orton should lose, but he's not going to. And Keith Lee is on his way to being irrelevant on the main roster. New terrible music, new terrible looking gear, and he's going to lose his first pay-per-view match. No, we're not going to have, it looks like a WWE Championship match, which is absolutely fine. Payback should not have many more matches. Bobby Lashley versus Apollo Crews. Lashley's going to win that match, no doubt about it. Baron Corbin versus Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle should be winning that, no doubt about it. The world's most despised jobber enhancement talent needs to lose every chance he turns around. Bayley and Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. It's got to be with the way that she teased that. Well, I'm gonna have my vengeance at the pay-per-view, and just the way she looked at Bayley tells me that this is going to be the end of Bayley and Sasha Banks' run as the tag team champions. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax will win the tag titles. Probably have a proper match against each other just to end all this bullshit. Hold the titles for a bit before dropping them to somebody else. Braun Strowman versus the Fiend versus Roman Reigns. I want to say the Fiend, but with the fact that they just turned Roman Reigns heel 100%, I'm going with Roman. There's no other doubt about it. I'm going with Roman. I believe that's everything about Payback coming this Sunday. Should I fucking care about Payback? Should you care about Payback? No and no. WWE decided we're going to have another pay-per-view the week after SummerSlam was the dumbest fucking thing they could have ever done. But that is your Raw, your SmackDown, and slight Payback predictions. I don't care if there's any other matches. I gave you the ones that... Oh yeah, I forgot about one they did announce today. Dominic and Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. A rematch from this past Monday. My problem with this match is they gave it away on Monday and they advertised on SmackDown tonight that on Monday they're going to have a match between Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins. Why? I'm saying the Mysterios win. Who gives a shit? But that is your SmackDown and partial, and as much as I'm going to give a fuck about Payback review predictions, hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video.